So today we're going to talk about how to design a room from start to finish. This is something that I feel like we're all always trying to crack. This big elusive topic because it feels like information that gets gate kept from us, right? Interior designers go to school and learn all of these mysterious professional techniques that help them take this blank, boring, ugly white box and turn it into something beautiful. And here's the secret. You don't have to be an interior designer. You don't have to have a professional education. You can just make a pretty space. I think honestly, before we even get into the structured breakdown of where to start, it feels important to know that great rooms are made over time. Great homes are made over time. And that's something that, like, in this kind of instant gratification world that we live in can be really hard to accept, because sometimes we just want to like walk into a Crate and Barrel and walk out with a finished bedroom. I get it. I get it. Me too. And you can do that. And I think it's always going to feel like a little bit empty, like a little bit like it's missing a soul. But it's okay. We can start there and just know that your home will get better with age. Your home will get better with life. Your home will get better as you find things and bring things into it that really speak to you. So I feel like that's just like one big disclaimer for this entire video. We're going to break down
methodically, step by step, how to design a room from start to finish.
But I think the truth is, even a really well-designed room will feel empty if you are not inside of it. And the only way to get you inside of it is to live there and continually be working on letting it build and flow and change and evolve. So with that disclaimer, let's get right into it. We're going to break the design process down into 3 phases. Phase 1 is research. Phase 2 is planning, and phase 3 is design. So the first phase is the research phase. And this is the piece that I think we are most prone to skip, because you like walk into a new project and you just want to start putting paint on the wall and you just want to get to the pretty things. But this is the most important piece, because even though it's not sexy, if we skip the research phase, then you're going to be trying to build the plane as you fly it. Think of it this way. The research phase is where you identify where you're going. The planning phase is where you figure out how you're going to get there. And the design phase is actually driving the car. So without the research phase, you don't have a map, so you're never going to get where you're trying to go. It actually became my favorite part, because also the research phase is where you get to dream. You're standing in the middle of this empty room. Everything is possible. You get to ask yourself these questions like, what do I want this room to be? How do I want to use this? Once you get into planning, you have a map you got to stick to, but in the research phase, you can go anywhere. We're breaking down the research phase into 3 steps. First, survey the space. Take a good, hard look at your space. Take photos, look at it from different angles. You're trying to figure out, okay, what does this room have going on already that I can't change? You're looking at the architecture, the structure of the room, the shape of the room. You're looking at things like flooring or wall trim or fixtures that you're not going to change, that are going to be part of your design, because you want to be able to work with those things, not against them. If you, like me, live in a rental with ugly brown carpet, it's not going to do you any favors to ignore that brown in your design and just like pretend it's not there. You're going to want to create a plan that works with that God-given carpet, because incorporating it into your plan is going to make your whole space feel more cohesive. So in this step, we're identifying what are the non-movable, non-changeable things in this room. Then I want you to ask, how do you want to use this space? The room itself does not necessarily identify the goal. If I'm doing a living room, maybe I want to use that space to be able to host a bunch of friends and family for movie nights. And I have a big family, so I'm going to need a lot of room for people to spread out, sit down, and I'll face the TV and eat popcorn and spill drinks. That's one way to use a living room. Another way to use the living room, maybe I want it to host really intimate social gatherings of small groups of friends. Those 2 living rooms are going to look really different. Maybe I also need a space in the living room to work. Maybe it's also serving as my office, so I need it to be multifunctional. Maybe it needs to function as a guest room or a yoga studio. Is this a multi-purpose room for you? Take some time thinking and dreaming about how you want to live in this space. And then, based on that information, take a look at the space and think about what is working for you and what isn't. Maybe you love your couch and that's totally working for you. It's exactly the right shape. It's in the right place. It's perfect, but you hate your TV cabinet, whatever. I don't know. Or maybe the furniture layout is working great for you, but all the sizes are wrong or the design is weird. Maybe there's absolutely nothing working for you and that's why you're trying to make this room over. Literally write down working, not working, because your goal is going to be to build on the things that are working and to eliminate the things that are not. And knowing those two things are really going to help inform your plan. Next, you're going to set some goals. Do not skip this step. Do not skip this step. Take everything you learned in step 1 and use it to name some goals for yourself. Give yourself 3 specific goals. A goal can be how you want to use the space, how you want the space to feel, or like a specific problem or challenge that you want to overcome. You can have more than 3. I think 3 to 5 is like a good number. As an example, let's say that I'm doing a bathroom makeover. My 3 goals might be to create a calm, cozy, healing space for me to practice my self-care. Another goal might be to have it be easy to clean, easy to wipe the counters down, easy to access all the cleaning things I need. And a third goal might be that it's easy to host guests or transition into a guest bathroom when I have someone staying with me. These goals, whatever they are for you, are going to help ground your design. They're going to help you land the plane. So this is a really important step. Once you have surveyed the space and set your goals, now you're going to start gathering design inspiration. I want you to pick like 3 to 5 things that inspire this room. Now, this could be 3 to 5 photos of other rooms that reflect what you want your room to look like. That's fine. But it also could be an item that you love. It could be a piece of artwork. It could be a blanket. It could be a birthday card that your grandmother gave you. It can be colors. It can be textures, fabrics, photos. There's no wrong answer here. It can be a digital board that you collect, or it can be a physical board. It doesn't even have to be a board. It could be a physical dish of things. And these don't have to necessarily be things that you want incorporated in the design. It's just things that feel inspiring to you. And this is honestly partially to start getting your brain in that creative space of moving from logistics into creativity, left brain into right brain, to start turning the wheels and thinking, okay, now that I understand the needs and the goals, let me start thinking about the creative execution. Because next we're going to move into phase 2, which is planning. This is such a fun phase because this is where we start to put the pieces together. Like I said, the research phase is figuring out where you're trying to go. The planning phase is figuring out how you're going to get there. It's like when you're planning a road trip and you know your ultimate destination, but then you get to do the like fun piece of plotting your little stops along the way. You know what I mean? Just me. She's a Sagittarius. Okay. The planning phase consists of, I think, 4 big pieces. And you can do these in kind of any order. I'm going to lay them out in the order I like to do them, but I really think that you should do whichever feels easiest to you first. I like to start with the floor plan. I like to start with floor plan because it feels to me like the last piece of left brain logical math before I can get into like fun colors and playfulness. I feel like this is the piece that trips a lot of people up, but the reality is making a floor plan, all it is determining how you want your furniture to be laid out. Do you want your couch to be facing the window or the wall? Do you want a dining room table that is round or rectangular, 4-seat or 6-seat? You know, the most important piece of this step is measuring. If you want to do this effectively, you have to measure. You got to take measurements of every inch of your room so that you can see how the furniture that you're looking at will lay out. And you don't need fancy programs for this. Like you can do this on a Post-it note. One of my actually like favorite low-tech ways is graph paper. You measure your space, 1 square equals 1 foot, or if you have a giant space, 1 square equals 2 feet or 3 feet, or however many feet you need it to equal to fit on a page. Draw your room. It's to scale now. Then on a second piece of graph paper, you can cut out furniture items to scale and physically move them and see what kind of layout you like. That I think is truly like my favorite playful way to make a room. You could also use a whiteboard. Whiteboard's a great tool because you can just draw and then erase and play with different options, see what you like. I also really like to use Canva for this. You can get creative with how you create your floor plan. Remember, the only goal of making a floor plan is to decide how you want your room laid out. Next, we're looking at your color palette. The world is full of color palette inspiration. Do not tell me you don't know what color palette to use. Look around you. One of my favorite ways to determine a color palette for a room is if you have a colorful piece that you love, whether it's a piece of artwork or a rug or a wallpaper. Here, I just showed this wallpaper in another video, but like, this is a beautiful piece of wallpaper. Full of color. It's full of color. From this wallpaper, We can pick pinks, we can pick greens, we can pick some lighter pinks, some reds in here, darker greens, yellow. Like this could be the color palette for your room, either by pulling the colors directly from here or by looking at it and saying, what's a color that would go really well with all of these colors? Ooh, what about like a robin's egg blue? That could be so pretty. And so maybe I have this on the wall with like a bright robin's egg blue couch. Ooh, with like this bright blue couch in front of it. Right? Does that look good even? I can't really tell. Yeah, that's so pretty. Oh my God. So it doesn't have to be that you go to the hardware store and pick all the paint chips and then like perfectly curate your color palette. That's one of my favorite ways to make a palette is just find something colorful you love and let that inform the room. Also, Pinterest is a great tool. You can literally just look up like living room color palette. If you want to get really spicy, throw in an adjective like feminine living room color palette or whatever the room and adjective that you like is. Like that's your formula. Adjective, room, color palette, go. Go to the Pinterest. Also, a lot of people love this website, Coolers. It will generate a color palette for you. And also, Canva color palette generator will pull colors out of a photo. So let's say you have a picture of a sunset or a park or literally anything, your dog, that you just really love the colors in. Go to Canva, pop it in the color palette generator. It will pull out all the colors. Like this does not have to be hard. You're gonna aim to pick 2 to 3 primary colors and 1 to 4 accent colors. So you're going to end up with a total of 3 to 8 colors. Obviously, more colors means more maximalist feeling. Fewer colors is a little more minimalist, a little cleaner. It doesn't mean it can't be colorful, but it's a little simpler. So like figure out where on the scale feels good for you and do it. There are no rules here. Like your color palette, your choice. I'm gonna put it on a t-shirt. And then after you have those foundation colors, your primary and your accent, if none of them are neutrals, add in 2 to 3 neutrals. Neutrals are boring. Neutrals are out. Neutrals are so 2020. You're gonna need a neutral. You need a neutral to ground it. Like you can have the most maximalist, chaotic, colorful piece of property. Like somewhere in that room is something white or beige or navy or black, like somewhere. Identifying your neutrals in advance is going to help you keep things cohesive. Next up, mood board. Mood boarding is so fun because here's why. Guess what? No rules. You may be noticing a theme here, and it's that there are no rules in any of this. Like you can do whatever the fuck you want. It's your room. It's your living room. It's your bedroom. It's your bathroom. Screw what everyone, especially me, says. You're going to take your design inspiration and your color palette and you're going to make a mood board. You can do this digitally, you can do it physically, you can use Canva or Photoshop or Milano, or you can use a bulletin board or a journal or a binder. Like no rules, do you. I think the key to a good mood board is to keep it simple, keep it focused, keep it clear. And the last step in the planning phase before we get to design is product research. And I feel like product research is actually a step that kind of gets sprinkled throughout all of these phases, but then really comes together at the end. Because sometimes a beautiful piece of furniture can inform the mood board or the color palette. Maybe you fell in love with this velvet green from Joybird. Like, well, that is now in your color palette. So pop it in, figure it out. But once you're wrapping up the planning phase, you really want to be doing product research and determining what are the pieces that will be going into this design and how do they all make sense together. So for me, as I do this research, I like to bring photos of each piece that I've decided on into a Canva board to see how it's all going to lay out together and how it's all going to play together. Because I might fall in love with a couch and an end table, but it doesn't mean they make sense together. And so once I have everything kind of on the board, I can see what adjustments need to be made. Okay, and now finally you can get to the fun stuff. Because finally we are at phase 3, design. But even this part is broken down into steps, and these ones you really do have to do in order. So the first step of the design process is to create the shell. We're talking about paint, flooring, window treatments. The shell of the room is the 4 walls, the ceiling, and the floor. So any work that needs to be done on those pieces, whether it's painting, wallpapering, swapping out lighting fixtures, adding molding or trim, hanging curtains, changing window treatments, changing the flooring. If you're doing any changes to the flooring, hot tip, make changing the flooring the last piece of your shell work, because there is nothing worse than putting in all of the work and labor and money to put in a beautiful brand new floor and then spilling a gallon of paint on it. But before you bring in any furniture or decor pieces, you gotta get the shell in shape. Step 2, add your furniture. Bring in your foundational pieces of furniture, your couch, your bed, your desk. The most important pieces come in first, and then we start layering in the accent pieces. And then accessories and styling. Talk about sprinkles on a cake. This is where the room all comes together. Once you have that foundation in place, then you get to play. Oh, I guess there's like a 2.5 that is like add your stuff, right? Because we all got stuff. If step 2 is bring in the bookshelf and step 3 is make it pretty, step 2.5 is like put your books on it. You know what I mean? And like somewhere in here is like declutter and organize, but like whatever, you get it. Anyway, so accessories and styling. You have your foundation in place. You know how you want to live in the room. Now you get to play. We're talking lamps. We're talking decor. We're talking rugs. We're not talking rugs. Rugs go in shell. Do not make the mistake of bringing all your furniture in and then adding a rug. Even though rugs are technically decor pieces, put it in shell. Consider it part of the floor. So in accessories and styling, we're talking about decorative accents. Vases and throw pillows and candles and all of the yummy stuff that really makes a room feel finished. And then the final part of designing, this is like a little bonus step, live in it. This goes back to what I was saying at the beginning, that a good space is constantly evolving. So live in it, rearrange it, redecorate it, change it, flow it, grow it, move it, shake it, money, make it. Make the room yours. And you can let it evolve in small steps. You can let it evolve by swapping out one thing at a time when you're kind of, you know, oh, I don't know if this vase is really my style anymore. It's okay, swap it out. Maybe find an ethical, sustainable way to let it go. Maybe regift it, maybe rehome it, maybe don't put it in a landfill. But like, it's okay to swap out the vase. Let yourself make small changes along the way, because then you're not gonna be in a situation where all of a sudden 3 years down the road, you're looking at your room and you're like, why do I hate literally every single thing about this thing that I put so much energy into? Let it grow with you. And as your needs evolve, let it shift to meet your needs. Maybe it's 2019 and you don't need a desk in your living room, and now maybe it's 2020 and maybe you do. You know what I mean? It's okay for your life to change. It's okay for your needs to change. It's okay for your room to change. And that's it. Boom. Demystified. If this video was helpful for you, please go ahead and hit that like button. And if you're looking for more interior design videos like this one, I've got a whole playlist of them. Or check out this video. I think you're really gonna love.